got instruction to stay on side. I have no pointer, so hoping you'll see the slides at least. Very pleased to be here. Thanks a lot to the entire organization. Being one of the speakers of the first ASOP in Israel is a pleasure and an honor, and I'm hoping you will, along with me, start a good discussion. I haven't seen Deborah's slides earlier, but I think some of the slides I will present now will be a kind of answer, so we could just have a discussion later on. I think last time was 15 years ago, so might be very fruitful. What I would like to do is to connect some dots. There are a lot of activities made by the industry in order to improve the quality of the treatment and, of course, the safety of the treatments, and it's done through a large number of initiatives. I think that 3 examples I will show you may be very representative. One of them will be related to new ways to prepare clinical trials. Another one will be related to personalized medicine in the oncology field. And the third will be empowerment of the patients, which is exactly what you are discussing about. How can we make sure this information we are producing in order to make our risk-benefit ratio as good as possible is really available for the patient and useful for them and for HCPs. So I think, Pascal, you were just referring to those elements. I will go directly into the slides. So we are living in an increased complexity world where a lot of information is available, a lot of technologies, and we need to find the best ways to prevent, diagnose, and treat diseases. There are many ways to do so. It can be through clinical trials that need to be more efficient, through new R&D approaches, a lot of diagnostics, and of course, an improved access for the patient. There is no value for a product, a medicine, or a solution to be created if it's not available for the patient. Many questions may be asked by a patient undergoing diagnostic or treatment, such as, am I at risk? Am I sick? Will I get better? Etc. And I think it is our role in the industry to try to find out what are the answers. And this is what I'm going to show you with a few examples. The patients are waiting. They are just waiting for us to make sure those solutions will be made available to them. So this is just a model, but I think it's very easy to understand. With advanced diagnostics such as comprehensive genomic profile in the field of oncology, we can take better treatment decisions, also based on information. We have databases, real-world data, and then molecularly guided therapies to have the best feasible treatment for the patient, and of course monitoring, knowing that the monitoring during the treatment will also enable to create databases that will help developing new therapies and make them available to new additional populations. So once more, this is an explanation of a kind of business case. What are the benefits through the value chain? It's clear that with deeper scientific insights and also accelerating optimization of care, we can just provide with a better access to personalized care for all the patients. For those who do know the slide, I think it has been shown many times, but the industry is moving from blockbusters medicines being produced for very large population of patients with no specific biomarkers to targeted therapies and in the future and even now personalized treatment where one patient out of a very large number of patients in a given indication may receive the treatment that is exactly designed for him or for her. This does require a lot of diagnostics such as new generation sequencing, comprehensive genomic profile, and also very good monitoring. I will show you some examples later on. If we were to compare these 2 pictures, so I think we are moving out from a lower resolution picture where we are providing a treatment because we think we understand what the disease is to something that is now improving. We are using genomics, we are using electronic medical records, we are using digital health, advanced imaging, and also digital pathology. And the outcome that we are looking for is high resolution view for each patient and his or her disease. This is also a model, an engine that we do believe is already working and will develop in the future, including the information database is coming both from clinical trials but also from real-world data, a lot of analytics, artificial intelligence, so on and so forth, smart and more efficient R&D, improve access to personalized care for all the patients, and this is done through many companies. I just wanted to show you a few papers that have been recently published showing how artificial intelligence may support improved care for the patient, including in the oncology field, and this is a recent one. Another challenge we need to face is the cancer combination therapies and immunotherapies. What you can see on the right side is a number of molecules that we should now test in combination. And you can just think about what does it mean in terms of challenge in defining clinical trials and the arms you want to check. So there is a need to a new approach, and this is what I wanted to show you. By the way, this new approach is already in place in Israel. We have several phase 1-2 centers in Israel. I think Ichilov might be one of them, where those new models are being applied in collaboration with Helsinki committees as well as the Ministry of Health. So think about combination for treatment in cancer. Think about many different type of cancers, such as pancreatic, gastric, so on and so forth. Think about all patients eligible going through comprehensive genomic profile in order to define which mutation is the driver, and then deciding which combinations it should be receiving, either first, second line, etc. Now, during the randomization, different arms will be defined. We will have one control and different combinations that will be checked all along the process. We will soon define, thanks to signals, that we have some failures. And those failures should be then evaluated in order to decide which additional combinations could be used. We are talking about combination between 20 to 30 different molecules at once in different arms in one clinical trial. With analysis of those signals, we could, within a short term, decide which combination should be taken out of the clinical trial, meaning adaptation of the protocols, and which combination should be replaced those. So within short term, we could get much better combination to be tested in phase 2, phase 3, but also we are reducing the number of patients being treated at all, and also reducing those being treated with a control arm below 35%. And as I'm going to show you, this can also be completely cancelled. And this is an example of comparison between a control arm or the information received through real-world data. And as you can see, the outcome becomes just the same, meaning that in the future, with the help of those databases, we could be in a situation where a patient will only get treatment of those new molecules. If we were looking at the traditional phased drug development and looking at the timelines between IND and application to the health authority for approval, we are now changing the paradigms, and we can take it much earlier, thanks to those new designs and to some initiatives from regulators. And I'd like to take the example of the real-time oncological review that was initiated earlier this year by the FDA, bringing new indication approvals around 1 quarter to 2 quarters earlier access for patients. And this is one of those elements we would be looking for also with health authorities in other parts of the world, such as in Israel. And once more the patients are waiting, I will now move to personalized medicine and precision care. I'd like to take the example of lung cancer. For those of you who know a bit about this terrible disease, in 2003, for example, we were talking about one disease, a few protocols, all of them being standard worldwide. If you're looking at 2019, as you can see, we have much more options. Those are the molecules that are being used. Each one of them may be related to a specific driver, a mutation that has to be detected in the biopsy of the patient, either liquid or solid biopsies. And this is done through advanced technologies such as comprehensive xenographic profile or hybrid capture based new genomic screening. So just for you to have a look into a study that was published 3 years ago. This is an activity that was performed in Beilinson Medical Center, so in Petah Tikva. It was found that many of the patients were going through classical path lab checks, and there were a lot of false negative. So the number of false negative out of those that were not diagnosed with the right driver was 42%. And by treating those patients that were re-diagnosed with the right medicine, 65 of them were getting advantages either in PFS or improved overall survival. So this shows how important it is to do the right treatment and using validated diagnosis processes. Those new methods may enable to find 82% of the patient new alternative for their treatment when compared to those that were used in the past. So more than twofold what we had in the past. And those are the different diseases where we do see a real advantage in going through personalized medicines, such as lung cancer, the example I was using, but also CUP, those cancer with having unknown primary, where it is very difficult to find the most relevant treatment for the patients. Any of those initiatives would not work, and I think, Deborah, you were mentioning it, without having good collaboration, co-creation, along with different groups of stakeholders, such as the patient, either directly or through patient organizations, the physician, healthcare systems, such as the HMOs in Israel, regulator, the MOH in Israel, the payers, HMOs, and the industry. I will now move to the third part of my presentation, talking about the way to better communicate risk benefits to the patient and how can this really improve adherence, persistence, and safety of that treatment. This also was a kind of a pilot a few years ago. A few pharmaceutical companies, along with the Ministry of Health, have been working on Israeli Patient Empowerment Network. And the entire idea was related to what you were discussing, the washing machine manuals. So many pamphlets, information, cards being created with a lot of spirit willing to develop the safety of the patient. At the end, who's reading those, and also when the label is being updated, who's making sure this update will become available both to HCPs and to the patients. So a few models have been developed. Some of them do already exist in the market. I would like to mention an app called MediSafe that has already developed in the US and in some other parts of the market, of the worldwide market. So to get information directly for the patient, introducing all the management of polypharmacy. Multilingual leaflets, this is something that was mentioned also for Israel. We have needs for translation in many languages. We have alerts around drug-drug interactions, etc. You can have information about when should you take your medicines. Maybe you forgot those. And of course, you can also handle all the med friends, family members, like age family members or children, and just make sure they get the best care feasible. So the advantages are numerous. I just wanted to mention the real-time indication leaflet update, which is a project currently under discussion with the Israeli Ministry of Health. We are trying, as industry, to promote better dissemination of those leaflets to all patients and to HCPs in order to ensure that the decisions taken by the patient and HCPs will be real time and not, as the current situation is, 2 years after an update has been made by the FDA or EMA. This information will also, of course, be available through laptops or desktops. And those would be the connections such as report of side effects, training. We have a lot of small movies, training movies prepared, how to inject product, how to handle different parts of the treatment, etc. Using barcodes and many other technical features of the product, we can reach through this pilot that is planned for this year and early next year in Israel, better level of awareness for the patient and HCPs, and everything is being done according to local regulation 137 that is relevant for those patients who have received a prescription and therefore can get information about the product, the training, and all information needed in order for them to have the best compliance possible with the treatment. So I think that along with all stakeholders, some of them being in the room, we should engage together in those opportunities. And once more, thank you for your attention.